Startling statistics tonight about the diabetic situation in Barbados. The Barbados Egg and Poultry Producers Association admits that egg importation is necessary at this time. Barbados makes significant strides in the Ghanian market with more local products to be sold there. And in sports, India rides its unbeaten record into the World Cup final.
The headline news is brought to you by RBC, a bank for all of you.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Good evening, I'm Pearson Bowen. More than half of the Barbadian population is suffering from diabetes. That sobering fact was highlighted as World Diabetes Day was observed at the Republic Bank's annual health fair in Freedom Park yesterday. Trevor Thorpe reports.
Statistics are saying 3 out of every 5 Barbadians are diabetic.
That's Betty Aline, second vice president of the Diabetes and Hypertension Association. She was talking about the latest diabetes numbers for Barbados during the Republic Bank's annual health fair in Freedom Park. Ms. Aline says the condition can also lead to other medical challenges.
You get kidney problems, you get eye problems, you get stroke and heart attack, when your diabetes is not under control.
Lions Club of Barbados East was part of the day's activities. Lion Leroy Hines gave some insight into their month-long plans to help raise awareness about diabetes.
On Saturday is our very big day. We're having the Global Village at Dighton Griffith Secondary School, and this starts from 8 until 4. And we have partnered with a lot of stakeholders, key stakeholders, as I said earlier, Diabetes Foundation, and we have Ross University, Livewell Clinic, and a number of key stakeholders at that event.
Corporate Communications Officer at Republic Bank, Misha Knight, says the day was organized to heighten awareness among Barbadians about diabetes and urge them to get tested early. She said it is part of the bank's social responsibility to the community which it serves.
So this initiative is our community give back, and we are here continuing to show our support to the cause of diabetes awareness in Barbados through our corporate social responsibility program, the Power to Make a Difference program. We are proud partners of 2 of the largest organizations in Barbados who are supporting and advocating for diabetes awareness, the Barbados Diabetes and Hypertension Association, as well as the Barbados Diabetes Foundation. And we are here with them today to continue the work and to allow Barbadians to come out and get free blood sugar testing, free blood pressure testing, as well as various other health checks from some of our partners.
A cross-section of corporate partners took part in the day's activities in Freedom Park. Trevor Thorpe, CBC News.
President of the Barbados Egg and Poultry Producers Association, Stephen Lane, says government's plan to import eggs into the country is unfortunate but necessary at this time. Mr. Lane said his association alerted authorities, specifically the Ministry of Agriculture, that there will be a shortage of eggs this month and therefore eggs would have to be imported.
This situation is one that we regret, but it is very important that we are able to maintain the supply to the local population as well as the tourism industry, and we anticipate that we're going to have an increased influx of tourists coming into the end of the year. Early next year we will have this situation resolved, but because of the increased activities, we thought it would be better to have some eggs imported so we don't have any shortage.
Mr. Lane also addressed complaints by many consumers that chicken has been scarce from shelves in supermarkets.
Yes, we were having some challenges, but the projection going forward is that is something of the past. As you're aware, we were seriously impacted in the last couple of months by extremely high temperatures, and that has caused some slower growth rate and high mortality within the poultry sector. But I've been having a conversation with the larger and smaller producers, as well as the main hatchery on the island. And the amount of eggs and baby chicks delivered. We will have adequate supply leading up to just after independence, right into Christmas. So the customers won't be disadvantaged.
Well, those eggs are expected to be in Barbados in a matter of days. More Barbadian goods are to be made available to the Ghanian market. Commercial and Cultural Attaché at Barbados High Commission in Accra, Phil Phillips, made the announcement during his presentation as several representatives from Barbados took to the podium at the Intra-African Trade Show in Egypt. According to Mr. Phillips, significant strides have been made by Barbados and important connections made.
So our rum is distributed by a Mexico group of companies, one of Ghana and West Africa's largest distributors. And from all reports, our brands are already performing above expectations in the trade. Under the guidance of Export Barbados and the Shop Barbados initiative, we are preparing to introduce new consumer packaged goods to the Ghanaian market within the coming weeks.
A memorandum of understanding is to be signed between the Barbados-Ghana Chambers of Commerce. Mr. Phillips adds tourism is another area through which Barbados is hoping to collaborate with Africa.
With the establishment of the Barbados Community College Hospitality Institute, now renamed the Jean and Norma Holder Hospitality Institute, which is celebrating 27 years of history, Barbados is confident that there are opportunities for cooperation and technical assistance between Barbados and Ghana and West Africa. Tourism has become the business of every Barbadian.
Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Kevin Greenidge, is confident once trade routes are established between Africa and the Caribbean and issues surrounding air and sea transportation addressed, people will travel more across the two regions. Dr. Greenidge shared that view as he participated in a panel discussion on Africa and its diaspora at that intra-Africa trade fair in Egypt.
When we start to establish businesses where African businesses and banks established in Barbados, we have a bank in Ghana, I believe, from the Caribbean, and we start to build these things, then you're going to start to see the economic potential of flows in both directions. And I think that's going to down to the benefit of us collectively. So I see it more as going forward, more potential flows, and that is where we want to go. That's how we're going to build the region. That's how we're going to reimagine the Middle Passage.
Meanwhile, Deputy CARICOM Secretary General Dr. Armstrong Alexis, in a virtual address, said Caribbean leaders are committed to renewing the tenets of Pan-Africanism and enhanced people-to-people contact.
Over the past 2 years, CARICOM and African business leaders, policymakers, academics, and civil society have taken bold and effective steps to foster and enhance commercial ties. There is growing commercial cooperation between the Caribbean region and Africa. 2 CARICOM member states, Barbados and Guyana, in collaboration with Afreximbank, hosted Africa-Caribbean Trade and Investment Forums in 2022 and 2023, respectively. These 2 forums have catalyzed business and investment partnerships between our regions.
Well, traffic was slowed to a crawl in the Colombo Rock, St. Michael area this afternoon following a single vehicle accident. CBC News understands the driver of this car was injured when the vehicle overturned along the roadway. The driver was taken to the Queen Elizabeth Hospital for medical attention, but the extent of the injuries is unknown at this time. We'll take a break here, but coming up, relief for the homeless who need shelter during the day. Homeless people in Barbados now have access to a 24-hour shelter. President of the Barbados Alliance to End Homelessness, Kimar Safri, has confirmed that people will now be able to stay in the shelter during the daytime. Previously, people were housed at the facility from 6 p.m. to 7 a.m. According to Mr. Safri, the 24-hour shelter was officially opened on the 1st of November, a month later than planned, to allow for the hiring of additional staff and construction to be done to some parts of the building. He explains people who come to the shelter will be assessed to determine if they qualify, but given its 90-bed capacity, Safri notes the focus will be on rehabilitating and reintegrating people into society within 3 to 6 months.
Once you come into the shelter, you're going to be subjected to counseling. You're going to be subjected to a reintegration program, whether it be mentorship, life skill coaching, planning out goals with you, whether it be the church educational programs, whether it be reuniting you with your family, job attachment, working with the welfare department to find housing solution, and otherwise. So we are going to be finding ways to get you back into mainstream society. Everyone will be given a time frame, and within that time frame, we're going to be working with you. There are some persons that oftentimes come and they're still working. And so those persons, we're going to help them create bank accounts, let them save the money that they need to within a period of time, and then transition them back into mainstream society.
The expansion to the 24-hour shelter is being funded by the Ministry of People Empowerment and Elder Affairs. There are about 16 people utilizing that 24-hour facility. With 7 clients having completed their rehabilitation and seeking housing, Mr. Safri is appealing to landlords to partner with the association.
Because the persons do have money. And as Ms. Marie said, they're working. It's just that they can't find reasonable rent to properties out there. So I know that person sometimes complain of the challenges with the welfare department, but if you partner with us, we could obviously then work with you and the client to help making sure the client is willing to pay you. So, you know, and other houses that we are willing to address through our housing, we have a housing solution policy here that we are willing to rent the houses through the organization and make sure that you get the funds to be able to, so that people can transition. We need people. The longer that people stay on the street, the harder it is for us and the harder it is to get them back into society.
Bahamian Jervon Sands is the Rhodes Scholar for the Commonwealth Caribbean for 2024. The announcement was made yesterday at State House following a full day of interviews of all 10 applicants. The new Rhodes Scholar-elect will be heading to Oxford University in October next year to undertake fully sponsored postgraduate studies.
This is unimaginable, exciting opportunity. And I'm very grateful to be in this position, and I'm very excited for the work I will be doing moving forward when I return from my studies and working in the region. Well, it's one of the most pressing problems, the climate crisis, and I want to be a part of making solutions to inform the Caribbean and safeguard Caribbean countries.
Well, Sands beat out 9 others, including 4 from Trinidad and Tobago, 3 from Guyana, and 1 each from Barbados and Antigua. While praising the quality of their applications and their potential, Chair of the Selection Committee and President of Barbados, Her Excellency the Most Honorable Dame Sandra Mason, encouraged the unsuccessful applicants to reapply for next year's scholarship.
For the 9 of you who have not been successful, there is the possibility of applying again next year, because you're in that category of exceptional educational and intellectual ability, which is the hallmark of the Rhodes Scholarship.
15 more Barbadian youth are more equipped with the latest knowledge in digital content production. This after having graduated a United Nations Development Program-sponsored 360-degree training initiative held in partnership with the Ministry of Youth and Community Empowerment. The participants, drawn from government's Next Step training initiative, received their certificates at the closing ceremony of the exercise at UN House in Hastings, Christchurch. Ron Brathwaite reports.
For just 3 days of training, these young content creators demonstrated their aptitude in the use of digital technology, creating 3-minute videos based on the thematic areas including youth, tourism, youth in crime, and the environment. The over a dozen youth used the knowledge acquired in the UNDP Accelerator Lab Innovation Challenge to showcase the wealth of talent that Barbadian youth possess. Director of Youth Affairs in the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Community Empowerment, Cleviston Hunt, encouraged more young people to take full advantage of the training opportunities to expand their skills and knowledge in all aspects of digital technology, as this, as outlined by government, was the way of the future.
There are a lot of young people who the opportunities are available who don't take them up. And when those things happen, we are grieved because we want to ensure that all of our young people are trained up and they have the skills for the modern economy.
UNDP resident representative Laimaya Altieb noted that the UN was pleased to be part of creating an innovations hub, which was led by youth and technology driven.
The amount of progress and progression that we've seen in the digital world and this open space in the digital economy, in the blue economy, in the green economy, in the orange economy, that we have yet to step into and to occupy is a potential that I think we all need to prepare for.
Having been presented with their certificates, it is hoped that these young content creators will use the knowledge they have acquired to advance the digital products now on offer in Barbados. Ron Bathwaite, CBC News.
As promised, we're back after the break, and Mark is also with us for sports news. Mark, good evening.
Very good evening, sir. Here in Barbados, the Mayor's Queen's College are into the final of the BCA Under-19 Schools competition after defeating defending champions Milo Lodge by 4 runs in an entertaining semi-final encounter today at Lairs. Winning the toss and electing to bat, QC got up to 119 for 8 in a match reduced to 31 overs due to rain. Andre Baptiste top scored with 28 for the boys from Husbands, while DeMarco Wiggins had figures of 3 for 11 for Lodge. Now, CBC's Anmar Goodrich Boyce reports on the early exchanges.
The boys from Messiah Street sent Queen's College into bat first, and they were off to a nightmare start, struggling to contain the hostile bowling of DeMarco Wiggins. Damari Roach was the first batsman back into the pavilion. Here he is, caught behind with the score 1 for 1. 2 balls later, Roach's opening partner Jordan Graham also fell victim in similar fashion. Looking to drive but edged, and the catch is taken. Wiggins is on fire, and Graham can't believe it. He has to go though. Queen's College in big trouble. Preston Clark was the new batsman, and he attempted to steady the ship for Queen's College. This delivery is too short from Zion Braffett and is pulled away through square leg for the first boundary. Queen's College 19 for 2. Rain interrupted play for 15 minutes, and when the covers were pulled off, Clark continued to work. He finds the gap between cover point to dispatch Malik Amy to the ropes for 4. Amy again, this time to Rashawn Hackett. He steps back and launches over Lawan for a maximum. Clark now under pressure to put runs on the board and opts for a single. The ball is misfielded and he goes back for a second, but there's a mixer at the striker's end and Clark is run out for 25. Queen's College 57 for 3. The very next ball, David Callender strikes. Loud appeals for caught behind and is given. The batsman Rashawn Hackett in total disbelief. He's of the opinion that no bat was involved, but he has to go. That wicket brought Zonico Baptiste to the crease, and he smashed this delivery from Shoniko Sargent for 6 before the rains came again and forced an early lunch break with Queen's College 72 for 4. Anmar Goodrich Boyce, CBC Sports.
Thanks, Anmar. And in reply, Lodge were bowled out for 115 off the final delivery to lose by 4 runs, as Preston Clark took 2 for 15, and there were 4 run-outs. David Callender top scored with 24. Now, in the other semi-final match today between Foundation and Lasco Ikul St. Michael, there was a no result as rain washed out play at Burr Hall. St. Michael were bowled out for 113, and in reply, Foundation were 6 for 1 in 3.2 overs. That match is now scheduled to replay next Wednesday.
In business tonight, tourism stakeholders are planning to roll out a project aimed at reducing food imports while addressing shortages of local produce. Chief Executive Officer of the Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association, Ryan Ford, provided some details on the initiative, which will involve hotels forming stronger linkages with the agricultural industry. He explained the BHTA has partnered with the University of the West Indies and the Inter-American Institute on Agriculture. With the scope of the project and the budget are still being worked out, Mr. Ford believes it will be a positive for the island.
So you would have seen last year the challenges with, for example, sweet potato, right? So how do you substitute that? How do you get the certain amount of quantities that either the hotels, the restaurants, the attractions might need, as well as also continue the same demand, the supply, for the demand that is in the local consumer base. So that's pretty much kind of a quick glimpse of the concept to the project that we're working on. And we're kind of focusing on where there will be shortages, how do you substitute in, and then also how do you present it and the branding of it, make sure the cost is a standard cost across as well.
A local mixologist has his eyes fixed on the regional and international arena. Buzzo Osteria Italiana restaurant's barman Dwayne Williams carried off the top spot in the recently held Mount Gay International Crafted Cocktail Competition. It was the second time the barman has taken the top prize, and he had high praise for Buzzo Osteria Italiana and organizers Mount Gay Distilleries.
After winning last year, it boosts my career a lot, my confidence, and I got eager to compete even more. Going to the regional finals, and I did not place. I left pretty upset with the mindset that this year I'm going to beat everybody. So I just had to get past this first hurdle, which I did. So I know from here now it's practice for the second hurdle.
Well, the successful mixologist gave details of his winning composition.
My drink was a twist of a old-fashioned. So lately, a lot of people are not into sweet cocktails. So I went ahead and I used a honey Scotch bonnet lemon bay leaf syrup to represent the sugar that back then they was using in this cocktail. And then I created a Bajan cherry bitters. This bitters it take about 3 months to make.
Time for us a second look at sports now. We're joined again by Mark. Mark.
Yes, indeed. President of the Barbados Olympic Association, Sandra Osborne, has been elected as the Vice President of the Commonwealth Games Federation. Osborne received 66 votes, which were 14 more votes than her nearest rival, Dr. Donald Yukare of Uganda. Speaking to CBC Sports from Singapore, where the General Assembly of the Commonwealth Games Federation is being held, Osborne said she is looking forward to continuing to serve at the highest level in her new position.
This is a new role that I have taken on at the Commonwealth Games Federation, and I am really overwhelmed by the level of support that I received in the election. The vast majority of the votes were cast in my favor, and I certainly am humbled by the confidence that has been placed in me. But the Commonwealth Games Federation is not new to me in the sense that I have for the last 8 years worked with them in my capacity as legal advisor and chair of their Governance and Integrity Committee. So this election gives me an opportunity to continue working at a time when the movement is facing some challenges, and I think it will be a very worthy experience if we can work through the issues and the challenges that we face and be able to come out on the other side with some games that are sustainable and an overall product that remains attractive to the athletes of the Commonwealth. So I look forward to continuing to serve, and again, I consider it a great honor to have been elected.
And there's also a new president of the Federation in Chris Jenkins of Wales.
Well, that's our time tonight. Thank you for spending it with us. I'm Pearson Bowen. For the crew, to all of you, good night by God's will. We'll see you tomorrow.